Chapter 35, in which a cat duke teaches the Pratchetts a lesson in not growing up. "Look at me, sis," Todd said to his sister. All around him, the sky got darker, lower, and menacing. However, Audrey kept saying, shaken, "She left us. Todd, she left us." "I know," he said. "I thought she was our friend too. But right now, we can't stay out in the rain too long. We have to go inside that palace." "What about Mommy?" she whispered. "She'll be worried." He takes her by the hand, and they slowly walk towards the front of the palace. "If she's ever worried about us, she'll bring forth the police," he said. "I have no idea where we are. All I do know is that we may be outside the city limits, but I'm certain they'll find us. We'll explain everything to Mom and Dad why we end up here, all right?" "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know. It's going to get dark soon, and I think the storm is going to get worse and worse. But we'll be all right once we go inside. If you still think you're scared, just think of Mr. Foxy Fox, all right? You know, Mr. Foxy Fox with the Sunday coat and the little pipe he smokes with, and Mr. Hedgehog. Just think of them for me." "I don't think I can, Todd." And suddenly, a glimpse of hope. They see a figure standing at the doorway, carrying a black umbrella. They immediately run towards the entrance. "Hey!" he shouted. "Over here! We need help! Me and my sister have been dropped off here. We're trying to get home." When they get close, they see that the figure was a frail old man with bleached hair, his eyes covered in bandages, with a black button sewn on each eye. He was dressed in an old butler's uniform. That concerned Todd. "Goodness!" he said, backing away. "Aren't you going to come in, children?" the old button-eyed man asked. "Your eyes. You're blind, aren't you?" The old button-eyed man nodded. "However, I know that I had the audacity to know I'm going. Come inside before you catch your death." He turned aside, allowing them to enter the palace, toward the grand staircase. "Drop your coats anywhere," he ordered. "It doesn't even matter." They shed their raincoats, but they can't help but feeling that the palace turns out to be abandoned, a once elegant place fallen into disrepair. However, they were struck dumb with awe at the elegance of this place. "Where are we?" Todd asked. "I know exactly where," the button-eyed man said. "You two are in the Chat Noir Palace." "This is where you live?" Audrey asked. "Yes. I work for the Grand Duke of Chaton all my life. I'm practically loyal to him. Now, would you tell me why you're here?" "Dear Puss left us. She left us." "Who's this Dear Puss?" "That was the name my sister gives to the Cat Queen," Todd said. The button-eyed man softly gasped and shook his head. "Oh, no, no. Not the Cat Queen. She didn't mean to do that. Why would you ever think of that?" "Then how do you know about her?" "Everyone in the underground knows that buxom feline." "You're from the underground?" Audrey spoke up. "You're a yokai?" "What else would I be?" the button-eyed man said. In front of the children, he transformed into an aging Abyssinian. "You see, she has brought you here for a reason, children," he said. "Then why did she take us here?" Todd asked. "She should have taken us home. Mom and Dad—" "That's for you and your sister to find out. Right now, there's a masked ball underway. My Duke is looking forward of what had to be done with you two." So the Pratchett children were briefly taken to the courtyard. The button-eyed cat had his umbrella above them. Sure enough, the children can see bodies dancing and hear a fine waltz inside the building ahead. "Right this way," the Bun-Eyed Cat said. They follow him to the ballroom. To their surprise, the dancers in the ballroom were cats. Cats that were 4 feet tall and stand on their hind legs. They were all wearing Venetian masks of gold like performers whose identity must be concealed at all times. Looking around and upward, all the candles were lit, brightening up the room, including the crystal chandeliers that hung to the ceiling. Turning to the left, an orchestra, consisted of cats of course, continued their symphony, making a graceful cacophony. Now their attention turns to the Button-Eyed Cat, walking across the balcony, making his way towards a thin, handsome cat standing at the railing. Another Abyssinian on a human body, sporting well-groomed blonde hair. He wears a white suit, a burgundy waistcoat with silver bells tied to it, white gloves, a top hat with a blue stripe in the center of it, and a blue bow tie, and carries a cane. They had a brief conversation in pantomime. The Bun-Eyed Cat pointed down at them, causing the Abyssinian to turn and look down at them, with his yellow eyes with slit pupils and his perpetual grin. He turns to the Bun-Eyed Cat and barks a silent order, so the Bun-Eyed Cat leads the Abyssinian down the stairs and towards the children, introducing to them. "I would like you two to meet the Honorable Grand Duke of Chaton." The Duke bows politely to the children. "You better listen what he's about to say to you," the Bun-Eyed Cat said. The Duke turned to him, his voice low and seductive. "Dear old Button-Eyes, I'm sure they will." "I'll leave them with you." Button-Eyes bowed and left. The Duke turns to the children, crossing his arms. "You two just had the nerve, don't you? Upsetting the Queen. You two know what she's like. You do something like that to her again, I doubt you would ever leave her cat bus unscarred." "You don't scare us either," Todd said. "We want to go home." "Not after I straighten you out," the Duke said. For those who are children awaiting them, the threshold of growing up, like all the others. Deny its finality, deride its totality, dread the inescapable inevitability. It will arrive, unless someone wants to stay a child. Pratchetts, you have no idea how hard growing up is. It's responsibilities. It's the time you get serious about the rest of your life. "I know," Todd said. "That's what we choose. Do you understand that? We have to grow up. Everyone does." "What about the Princess Kitty?" The Duke sounded impatient. "Would you dare go this low as forgetting her, after all the great things she had done to your city? It sounds like you're giving up on her. She doesn't abandon you, as long as you don't abandon her." "Wherever she is, I'm sure she'll understand that we have no choice." "Well, what if she doesn't? Has any of you stopped to think about that? I'm not going to let you." "You have no power over us. You can't even tell us what to do or what not to do." "Oh, don't I?" the Duke asked. Then he pulls out a brass bell with a black handle. "Only one way to find out." Todd and Audrey watched as the Duke rang the bell. Immediately, the cat stopped dancing and the band stopped playing. For a moment, they just stood there before they slowly surround the Duke and looked at the children as they emit low purrs. "Allow me to tell you two what you would expect. It happens a great deal in the real world when someone leaves adolescence and their teenage years behind, and realizes that while childhood is not always a picnic, things are different when mother and father aren't paying their bills any longer," the Duke said mockingly. "I've seen it all. They have to find a place to live, buy health insurance, work at a job they may not like in order to have money in the bank, and otherwise deal with all the things that made their parents so bad and deadening. One of the first steps into being a full-fledged grown-up is realizing all the forfeiture that parents had to make and the insane hoops they had to jump through to keep a roof over their heads and food on the table. Regarding the Princess Kitty, your parents want to make you forget about her because they don't believe in her. They only believe in what is real. Pretty soon, you and your sister will do the same. The cats around him chant to the children. It must be believed to be seen. Just for a moment, Todd's face flinched. The Duke's cat-like eyes widened as they saw it, the mere trace of fear fleeting across his eyes. It didn't take long for his sister to have the same trace. Why, I can see a future ahead of you two, he went on, not caring. All of your drawings of creatures that don't exist, but exist in your mind, in the trash, never to be recovered. All your toys, gone. All sold, either in an antique store or a pawn shop. It just goes to show you that they are all distractions all along. A waste. A tragic dream waiting to happen that will ruin your chances at life. Well, that's a risk we should take then, Todd said. At least we'll have some fond memories when we grow up, the Duke said. I'm telling you this for your own good, little boy. In your city by the sea, there's one absolute. Her presence won't stay ignored for long. So don't ever let go of the princess. I don't care, Todd said. So help me God. I will get through to the both of you, the Duke hissed, his claws slowly protruding from his fingers. And if this is the only way, it shall be your fault for making it too easy for us. So, what will it be? I'm waiting. We all are. We've already decided, Todd said. It's time to grow up. The Duke decided not to argue anymore, and slowly backs away, sneering. It's the hard way, then. The cats meowed, and all leaped up into the air, and came flying down upon them. Todd gave a little scream, half of fright and half of fear, and tried to beat them off, and found himself and Audrey sitting on the seats inside the disguised cat bus. It's still raining outside. Maybe it's nothing but a bad dream. Then again, maybe not. The children, a little shaken from their encounter with the Duke, faced the Cat Queen, smiling at them, eyes gleaming with gloat. I had to make you two understand, she purred. The problem was that you two have made your decision growing up. So I had to make you two pay the price for it. They can see that the Cat Queen happened to change her clothes. She now wears a cardinal-colored fur-lined coat with black spots around the huge white fluffy collar and matching cuffs. Underneath her coat, she wore a tight brown waistcoat underneath her white blouse. She was shod in black high-heeled boots with silver soles over gray tights, and on her hands were white gloves with the claws protruding out of them. Haruka and Minako climbed up to the top of the seats, chortling at them. The Cat Queen went on. Not only am I a queen of the underground and of all the yokai. Regarding the Princess Kitty, I consider myself her high supporter. Don't take this all personal on me for having you both get mixed up in this. Tell me, once and for all. And whatever your decision is, it shall be final. Will you two, or will you two not, make the Princess Kitty's presence known for everything she's done? And just like that, a switch goes off in the boy's head. Maybe growing up to him and Audrey really is hard. What's more, because of the Cat Queen, they found out the truth about their own family brushing the princess off as a dream. Especially their father, pretending to believe in her, after the incident with Malchance. And after Princess Kitty did great things to the people, they would simply brush it off like they were absolutely nothing too. Well, no more. No longer would they stand there and do nothing but allow the princess to stay hidden. They knew she had a voice in the city, and they would make sure that it was heard by everyone. "Oh, how I've been blinded for saying such things to you," he said. "Forgive us, dear puss." "You two don't have to be forgiven, darling," purred the Cat Queen. "You had to do what is right for you and your family. By the time we head to the fairground, we will make our parents believe in Princess Kitty, make her presence known to all of Kodono. She deserved to be welcomed here." "Then the Duke has succeeded in knocking some sense into your little heads," she said, satisfied. "A cat of devilish cunning he is. Even he wouldn't allow the princess to stay hidden. There's only 3 days left of her expedition. So when will you do that?" "By the time we set foot inside the dirigible Providence." "The Providence, you say? I've heard of that blimp all right. Even I know how to make a living in your city. Therefore, I wish you two good luck when you set foot inside the Zeppelin. You might need it." The cat bus makes his stop at the Pratchetts' home, while Todd and Audrey put their raincoats on. He carries the wicker basket. However, he noticed that the engineer wasn't in the driver's seat, but another man. He looked like a tall chauffeur, bald with a brown curled mustache and tinted eyeglasses to hide his eyes. "Where's the engineer?" Todd asked. "He really is stupid to leave me. Be done with me," purred the Cat Queen. "But he will learn. Lucky for me, I already found a replacement. The chauffeur with the tinted glasses." "But what about the engineer? What will become of him while the storm's getting worse?" "I won't let him go unpunished. I will look for him, I will find him, and then I will tear him within an inch of his life. He won't even be able to put on his eye patch properly." Todd then swallowed in a throat that suddenly dry. "Why must you care about him?" she asked. "He's only 325 years old." 325? He asked. "I thought he was as old as Grandpa." Then there came a realization. "Which means, if you met him a long time ago, I suppose now that makes you 341 years old," she said. "Well, it's a good thing I lived through the Edo period and managed to escape in one piece, so I can do my way to any non-believer who dare oppose me. It's best not to judge my looks from my age. It's rude." The chauffeur turned to the Pratchett children and spoke out in a voice at least 2 octaves too deep for a person that size.
"If you try to expect better weather by tomorrow, tomorrow brings the same old sun, but never shone our way."
Both the children were unnerved by him. With a wave of her left hand, the Cat Queen produced a bubble from the air. In her hand, it became a red crystal ball. "You can have this," she said. She gives the crystal to Todd. "When shall we 3 meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain?" she said, grinning wider. "In 3 days, without her presence in the celebration. Your father isn't the only one who will pay the price for denying such folklore. Unless the Princess Kitty shows up, may misfortune take a bad turn." People don't know how things are going to change yet. They will learn. The cat bus departs, but not before Todd can see the Duke, his face pressed against one of the windows, smiling and waving. Mrs. Pratchett emerges from the front door. "I'm so glad you two are back here. I hope the food is still dry." "It's still dry," Todd said. "Well, don't stand out there in the rain. Come in." She stood aside to make room for her children to pass her in the doorway. He gives his mother the basket. She sighed in relief, finding that the bread is dry when she opened the basket. "Where's Daddy?" Audrey asked. "I got a call from him at the bakery," Mrs. Pratchett said. "He'll have to catch a cab when he gets out from work. He knew better not to forget his umbrella. I'm afraid he'll be catching his death without it. That must be very foolish of him, I suppose." When she saw the red crystal Todd was holding, she said, "It's so beautiful. Where did you get it?" He looked inside the crystal. He could see a faint image of the Duke. "Just a friend," he said. "By the way, the bus driver knows where you're going?" she asked. "She did. She was a conductress. I told her where we live. Why don't you head upstairs and keep quiet? Your grandparents are napping." As soon as she heads to the kitchen, Todd and Audrey went inside the living room anyway. They can see Grandpa Jack, who is still awake, while the other three were snoring loudly. "Why would I?" Grandpa Jack whispered, and he beckoned the children to come closer. They tiptoed over and stood beside the left bed. "When I saw the storm getting worse, I was starting to get worried about the both of you," he whispered. "Did you two take the bus home?" Then a startling realization. "On second thought, I don't really want to know who the driver is." "Yes, she did, Grandpa," Todd said. "She took us home." Grandpa Jack shook his head. "Not another word about her. Would you mind telling me what happened today that I must know?" "It's about our dad. He hardly ever believes in Kitty." "My son? What do you mean he hardly ever believes in her? We all saw her in disguise, do we?" "The Cat Queen said it doesn't count. We had to see her real self." "Cat Queen?" "That's her real name," Audrey said. "Her full name is the Cat Queen of the Underground, the great mother of disorder and consternation of the earth," Todd said. Grandpa Jack can feel himself seized up and bang his fist onto the soft mattress. "As if that wasn't bad enough. I don't know whether or not it's far worse than seeing her face." "Don't worry about her, or Dad," Todd said. "We won't tell him. And there was the Duke telling us not to grow up when the Queen takes us to his palace." "Look, if you don't tell your father, I won't either," Grandpa Jack said. "We might as well wait until Sunday morning. Something must be done." "You won't do something drastic, are you?" "Just for as long as you two see him suffer. Until then, you two hold on to something that you believe. Hold on to something that makes you two feel all right." Grandpa Jack is drifting to sleep after placing his dentures on the table. "Now, leave me and keep quiet. You are your mother. I must sleep. Dreaming of Kitty. Dreaming." As soon as the children head inside their room upstairs, what they discover was Haruka and Minako, both lying at the top of the drawer between the stuffed animals, staring at them. The cats seemed to be waiting for the children. "You two again!" Todd exclaimed. "How did you get here?"
"Let me tell you,"
Haruka said.
"it sure wasn't that easy."
Minako said. The cats hopped down and climbed onto one of the beds.
"Now we've looked around your domicile,"
Haruka said.
"I hope you don't mind if we stay for a while,"
Minako said. Todd folded his arms. "Who said you two are going to be here?"
"Who else but our mother?"
Haruka said.
"She said so herself."
Minako said.
"You two will let us stay here."
"Your mother?" Todd asked. "Dear Puss is your mother?"
"We do have faith in her."
Haruka purred.
We are the Mother Cat Queen's pride and joy,
Minako said.
She told us to stay with you. That's what Mother has decreed.
Todd asked, but haven't we been through enough for her today?
We're just making sure.
Haruka suspected.
Precisely,
Minako agreed. Oh no, Todd said. You two don't have to. You're not supposed to be here anyway. Look, I'll open a window and the both of you can leave from here if you can. You know cats land on their feet. You can go back to your mother and tell her that it won't...
Too bad we can't take no for an answer,
Haruka snapped.
You two will let us stay here,
Minako said. It was hard for Todd to remain calm. I swear, it's like you two can't even trust us or anything. We know what must be done.
Who said anything about trust?
Haruka laughed.
Anything Mother said is ordained,
Minako said, stretching.
In other words, you two have no other choice, unless you want to tell her yourselves. Surely we can find something to do ourselves, like playing with your stuffed animals, or listen to your stories, or take a nap. We could probably use one anyway.
There, Todd gave up, knowing that there was no way of getting through to those two cats. On one condition, you two will stay in only this room and nowhere else, and stay hidden. The cats climbed down and rubbed their heads against his legs, purring.
A wise decision,
Haruka said.
You two even wouldn't want to upset her again,
Minako said. With a short kick, he and his sister make their way out of their room, without so much as a second glance at those two cats. What are we going to do, Todd? Audrey asked, concerned. You think they mean it? The storm is about to get worse anyway, Todd said. What other choices do we have? We already know what she's like when she's angry. They decide to head downstairs to the kitchen to be with their mother until their father comes back from work. In other news, due to torrential rains, the Zeppelin has made a successful forced docking at the USS Takayama. Brock Kincaid's voice was heard on the radio at Todd and Audrey's room that night. According to KBC's Dorothy Chandler, who was on board the Zeppelin as it was moored under the tender, she received information from World Airship Popularization Association HQ for Providence operations in Empire City, where the flight plan is several scheduled trips between the fairground and the city of Kodono. Although it may or may not arrive soon, I'll let you know as soon as we have more information available. But tomorrow's forecast calls for blue skies. Through the windows, Todd can see the sky grow darker and darker. However, he and his sister have the Cat Queen's black cats to keep them accompanied. Do you think that dirigible will be here soon? Audrey asked. It's coming, sis, Todd said. I'm sure.
How very unfortunate,
Haruka said.
That big blimp forcing to endure a storm.
Minako laughed. It's not the Providence we're worried about, Todd said. It's about Kitty. All alone out there. Hope she takes shelter in either an alleyway or a bus stop.
It's actually the storm you should worry about right now,
Haruka insisted.
Not the blimp, or the girl, or anybody else,
Minako said. Why should we? Todd said. It'll probably go away tomorrow morning. It's not a big deal.
We think it is, Todd,
Haruka said.
We really think it is,
Minako said. Then what's terrible about this storm? Todd asked.
That's for the girl to find out herself,
Haruka said.
And it won't be long now before she's needed again,
Minako said.
Another great thing!
Just then, the power goes out. But the children are afraid, unlike the grandparents underneath them. It didn't take long for the cats to quickly hide under one of the beds when Mr. Pratchett came into the room and placed a tray of candles on the drawer, dimly lighting up the place. You two will be okay in here? He asked. The two children nodded. Just asking, he said. Don't forget to blow out the candles when it's time for bed, all right? As soon as he left the room, Haruka and Minako came out of hiding.
That's your father?
Haruka said.
Deceiving, isn't he?
Minako asked. I know what we had to do this Sunday, Todd said. We will introduce Kitty to our dad. If he doesn't believe in her like he means it. He stopped and heard the bells swaying from the tree. That's what makes them worry. What if Princess Kitty finds out about it? Dear Puss said. The children can hear Haruka and Minako meowing and hissing at them.
Let us hope everyone else welcomed the princess to their city,
Haruka advised.
Because when Sunday comes and they don't, they're going to regret it,
Minako said.
They have no idea what awaits them,
Haruka said. Todd opens the window and calls out to the rain. Kitty! Wherever you are, in either alleyway or bus stop, there will come a time when your presence throughout Kodono can finally be known. It will begin by the time we head to the fairground and are aboard that dirigible. You will fulfill your destiny and be welcomed. We promise! Then a breeze blows into the room, blowing out all the candles, save one. Todd shuts the window. Haruka and Minako jump to the drawer, with one candle lighting up their faces. Todd and Audrey look at them.
We'll see,
Minako sneered. Then she used her paw to put out the candle, leaving the room in darkness. Only lightning can briefly illuminate it, underneath a relentless, unforgiving storm.